everyone, and welcome to Maple Leaf Reviews. I'm Jeffrey.
I'm Jacob.
And today we're doing a review of Great Western Trail.
Great Western Trail.
It's great.
Stronghold Games.
Yeah, Alexander Pfister, a designer that I've enjoyed quite a few of his games recently. I know you really liked Isle of Skye.
Yeah, that's correct.
So let's see what we thought of Great Western Trail. Now for the art and components, I think the quality of the cards, the quality of the components are really good. I know some people have said that they don't really like the art style.
Okay.
I like it. I like the iconography. The only thing I find creepy is that engineer guy, that old man.
Yeah, he's pretty creepy looking.
Yeah,
he's got a bit of a glare to him. Come this way.
But other than that, I think it's top notch.
Oh yeah, I really like it. I find all the iconography is quite easy to understand for the most part. And yeah, the art style components are nice and thick and chunky. They're good. Art style's clean. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. And for the theme, where you're traveling on this trail, getting all these cattle,
right.
Culling your herd,
yeah, sure.
And then getting to Kansas City to deliver them, I can see where the game is inspired by that theme.
Sure.
But when I'm playing, I don't really feel that theme a whole lot. But that's because the gameplay is just so enticing and just sucks me in that I'm just thinking about the next action rather than thinking about the theme for the game.
Right, yeah, that happens often where you're sucked in by the mechanisms of the game and you're just drawn in, so focused on that you're not really tailoring to the theme.
Yeah.
Though I do feel that I really quite feel like I feel the theme in this game. You're going around and you're selling cattle as you're wrangling them, and then once you get to Kansas City, putting them all on a train, shipping them off, and you get a big boatload of money, and you start your trek all over again. It works.
Yeah, I think it's there. There's a few things that don't really relate to the theme for me. Like when you go to different stations, you can leave a cowboy there. Why a cowboy would want to live the rest of his life in a train station.
And why he gives you like bonus certificates every round.
Yeah. So like I said, I think it's inspired.
Sure.
The gameplay is inspired by the theme, but for me, it's not really there when I play it. Okay. I'm so pulled in by the gameplay.
Makes sense.
For the rules and teaching, I've taught this game to a lot of different people.
Right.
To 6 different people, from seasoned gamers to people where this is like their second or third game of designer board games.
Right.
And I haven't had any difficulty. I think the way that when I explain it and you go through each of the locations explaining what that means, basically describes what all the symbology and iconography is, and it's just so clear that once they start playing, they're like, oh yeah, this does this, and it's very easy for them to follow along with the game. So no problem for me with teaching. And the rulebook is very well written as well. No real questions or misunderstandings.
Excellent. From a learning perspective, I found the game fairly simple to learn. It's basically you move X number of spaces. Wherever you land, you take that action. The only trouble that I ever ran into was there are lots of different icons.
Yeah.
So remembering what each of the iconography does, there's special locations where when you're discarding your 1 value card, you get to move the cube. The one other thing that I found a little tricky with the game is that when you are purchasing workers to come onto your tableau, there is a +0 or a +1 or a negative. I always thought that the plus was you have to pay that much more.
Yeah.
And the negative is you have to pay that much less. But it's reversed.
Yeah, and I think the colors of that is the indication. Green is good, red is bad.
Exactly.
Whenever you're gaining something, it's usually green.
So I made a couple of mistakes there where I was paying more than I had to buy guys because I thought it was reversed. Other than that, everything's pretty clear.
All right, then on to the meat of the review for the gameplay and mechanisms. The very first thing I'm going to say about this game is I think it's such a clean design.
Oh, yes.
There is basically no fiddliness in this game. You move, take an action, your turn's done.
Yeah.
Then it's the next person. Move, take an action, and the game can clip along pretty well because it's so clean.
Yeah, I can clip along at a really fast pace, especially once you get used to the game. You have a bunch of seasoned gamers at the table. It moves along really quickly.
The other thing that is a main component to this game is there's a deck building mechanism in here. But what's more important, I think, is there's a hand building mechanism Whereas as you're traveling through this rondel-style trail, where you can never go back, you always have to go forward, right. You're trying to call your hand to get the best possible hand once you reach the end. So not is it important to build your deck correctly, but to also build your hand so that you're getting the most value and getting the furthest along that delivery track.
Exactly. No, I agree 100%. And also, you don't have to cut anything out of your deck either. So in that sense, I mean, unless you're talking about just adding cards, you're not really deck building. You're not trimming it down. You're just adding new things so you have more options later on.
And when you add more cards, you want to add different color cards. Yeah. You don't want to buy all three of, say, the same color.
That's right.
Yeah. The other thing that is also like an engine building mechanism is your tableau.
Yeah, exactly.
You have all these different auxiliary actions that you can take. So based on which discs you pull off, give you different abilities that you can do versus potentially what someone else is choosing. Yep. So anytime there's an engine building mechanism in a game, I always like that because I like making myself different than you and ramping up towards something where I'm better towards the end than at the beginning.
Right, exactly. As you're delivering your cattle, as you're doing certain tasks, you're taking these discs off of your board and tailoring it to exactly what you want, whether you want to move further, whether you want a bigger hand size so you have more options during your turn, whether you want to be able to gain more certificates or do those auxiliary actions, which really tailor what you can do and how you trim down your deck, how far your train moves, so on and so forth. Yeah. So lots of different options there. I really like it.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, like you were saying, lots of different options, is I like a variety of strategies. Yeah. Possible strategies in a game. When we first played this...
This is where it gets interesting.
We were like, there's only one strategy.
There's only one thing you can do.
You just buy all the different types of cattle, you get to Kansas City, deliver as many times as you possibly can, and that's how you win. Yeah. Don't even bother with buildings. Don't even bother with, like, your train is basically just reduce your cost. Right. There's no point to get any more further than that. And we played like that quite a few times.
Probably about 4 or 5 times.
And, I was just trying to call my deck down, get, like, the same size hand as what my deck size was, so I always had all my cards in my hand. Yep. I thought that was the only way to win. Yep. But then as we played more and more, you start to see, no, there's other strategies here that you can explore. You just have to explore them. And I think there is a lot of variety of strategy in this game.
Yeah, it's interesting because you almost have to go with the flow of what the game is giving you. A lot of the options where you're just like, oh, you can't go buildings. Yeah. We figured that is just a moot strategy. You cannot do it. It is not a possible option. And I kept trying and eventually I got it. Right. And I think the reason why I got it was things kind of fell into place for me. There was lots of engineers right at the beginning of the game.
The craftsmen.
The craftsmen, yes, sorry. A bunch of the craftsmen showed up, and I was able to buy a bunch of them, and I was able to start chaining together, building buildings really quickly. Yeah. And if that doesn't happen for you, if you go into a game and you're just like, oh yeah, I'm going building strat or train strat or whatever right out the gate, and then none of those engineers or none of those craftsmen or none of those cowboys show up as options to purchase, you can't really do that route. Yeah. You can't do that tactic or strategy.
And I think that's one of the biggest differences between a 2 and 4 player game is with 2 player, your job market is very limited.
That's right.
So you're much more prone to having potentially the same guys coming out or just all not one guy type coming out at all. Right. Whereas with 4 players, the job market is much bigger. So I think you're more beholden to the flow of the game in 2 players than 4 players.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well.
Yeah. Then the other thing is player interaction. Okay. There is some with where you place the buildings. You could force people to have to pay you money when they move over it. But I don't think that's the main source of player interaction in this game. I think the main source is how fast people are delivering to Kansas, because that's also the timer for the game. If more people are delivering faster, the game's going to be shorter and shorter and shorter. And if you're taking your time, then you're not maybe going to get as many deliveries as someone else. So I think that's, for me, the main source of player interaction that I see is, especially towards the end of the game, I'm like, oh man, I hope he takes 2 more stops before he delivers the Kansas, because it's only 2 more deliveries left. And if he delivers now, Oh my goodness. Like that's where the tension and the player interaction I really feel is towards the end, is you could force the end of the game before someone else is ready. Right. Just by delivering to Kansas.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the biggest point of player interaction, but I feel like there's several other points. One, as you mentioned, is the buildings with the icons where you have to pay out. So at that point, you need to decide, do I get rid of all my money before I go there so I'm not paying that person? Do I just pay them? Do I go around them and pay a cost to the bank? That sort of thing. Putting down lots of buildings, if you're going the construction strat, you can actually slow someone down so that they can't get to where they're trying to get to. Yeah. If you can anticipate where they're going, you can throw down a bunch of buildings in front of them, so they have to cover more ground to get to where they want to go. Another strategy is with the cattle, is buying cattle before someone else gets there to get that hefty 7.5 value cow.
Especially if
Texas Longhorn.
Especially if there's limited of a color.
Exactly.
You want to get there to buy that first. And as we were talking, the other thing that I thought as some player interaction is once you get to Kansas City and you're putting out the hazards or the people that you can hire. Sure. If I see, hey, he wants to go for a building strategy, I'm not going to put the craftsman out. Yeah. Or he has these buildings along this hazardous route, I'm going to pick the tile that puts more hazards along that route. So there's some player interaction there as well. Exactly. But it's more indirect. I definitely don't think there's no direct player interaction. It's all indirect, not a lot. Affecting costs and abilities and efficiencies of other players. Right. Is where you're going to see the player interaction in this game.
I would agree.
The other thing that I mentioned with the player interaction about this game timer, where it's not a static number of rounds. Right. It could change from being, a very long game to a shorter game. And that's where initially with the strategies, I didn't think that there was a variety. Was because, okay, I tried this strategy, I got 120 points. I tried something else, I only got 60 or 70 points. But I don't think you could directly compare because the game is going to go different based on how quickly people are delivering. If everyone stops at every single building every single time through, you're going to be able to get a lot more done and you're going to be able to get more points. But that doesn't mean one strategy is better than another in this game. And also the game timer, as it goes by and it starts getting closer and closer to the end, you really start to feel the pressure. The tension is there. It's like, oh, I have still so much that I want to do. Still so many little gears that I want to turn in my engine, but I just don't have enough actions to turn them all. I love that tension towards the end of the game in this.
Yeah, no, the tension is real in this game. And I agree with everything you just said. You hit the nail on the head. We've had games where we've scored, the high score was 50-something points. Yeah. And we've had games where the high score was 160, 170 points or whatever. And I don't think that we played any different. We didn't do a different strategy. It was just the speed at which we clipped along, where we start. If everyone starts the game right in front of Kansas and just runs right through, that just pushes the game along really quickly. Yeah. Whereas everyone starts right at the beginning of the trail and slowly goes through, it extends your game significantly.
Yeah, you get quite a few more actions in that game. Yeah. Are you ready to go on to our final ratings?
Yeah, let's do it.
For this game. As you could probably tell when I was talking about the gameplay and mechanisms, I didn't have one bad thing to say. The only bad thing I said is that the engineer looks creepy. But I just turned the box cover away from me so I don't get to see his big face staring at me.
Yeah, and the little tokens are so small you can't really tell.
I just try not to look. I don't go train strategy for that reason. And I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. Number one, I think it's such a clean game design, so easy to teach. I'm going to get it to the table so many more times. The variety of strategy that I feel is in this game keeps me thinking about the game even when I'm not playing it and wanting to get it out to the table and try different things each time I play.
For sure.
So I played it 9 times already. I'll probably
want to play 9 more.
Yeah, at least 9 more, probably within the next year. A game that gets me that much is got to be a 10 out of 10. And I still want to play it. It's not like I'm burnt out after 9 plays. I want to play it more and more and more. Right. For me, 10 out of 10, near perfect.
Right. Yeah, no, this game is amazing. I also kind of want to give it a 10 out of 10. It's so close. There are a few minor things that I feel maybe could be perfected, maybe could be twisted to add a little more complexity, make it more interesting, but aren't there at this point. So I'm only going to give it a 9. I'll talk about those things really briefly.
A high 9, though.
A very high 9, oh yes. One is the cattle cards that you are purchasing throughout the game. Within the value 4 and the value 5 cards, they have different variations of value. So
for victory points.
For victory points, right. Yeah. So all the 5 cards, they're all going to be worth 5 value cows, but the victory points on those cards could be 5, 6, or 7. And I feel like, why? Right. Other than maybe, I need to get here first before you so that you're not getting it. But is that wasting an action? And actions are very valuable in the game. Yeah. Do I have to stop, make an extra stop? Is it worth it just to buy this cattle so that someone else isn't getting that 2-point lead? Yeah. I don't know why they're not all the same value.
Yeah, and I think that is exactly why. Because you could have different scenarios that'll show up where potentially maybe they're all 7s out there, so it doesn't really matter. But when they aren't, when things are limited, things are tight, that's when you have to take into account, is the action that I want to do before this one going to net me basically 4 points?
Right.
In a 2-player game. I'm denying him the 2 points from buying this high cow, and I'm going to get those 2 points.
Right.
And with some games, like we were saying, could be the winning score in the 50s, 4-point swing is huge. So it's all, like you said, you have to go with the flow of the game. What is going to be the best move for me now with the given state of the game?
Sure.
So, yeah, I think that's why.
Okay. Yeah, I still, we could argue it, but I'm going to leave it at that. The other one is there is a little bit of luck in the game. There's lots of ways that you can mitigate what you're drawing out of your deck. You can deck build, you can trash cards out of your deck. There is an auxiliary action where you draw cards and then discard to build the perfect hand that you want. But every once in a while, you're just going to get stuck with not drawing what you need at that one moment, right, where you're just like, I have 3 cards left in my deck. 2 of them are the white cattle cards, and I'm going to go here next and sell a white cattle card for $4, and I'll be able to buy these 2 guys. And you draw the one other card that isn't a white cattle card, and you're just like, come on.
Anytime you have shuffling and drawing, there is going to be some luck. But like you said, I think there's a lot of mitigation to that.
Lots of ways to mitigate. I've just had several through the 6 or 7 plays that we've had of the game. There's been several points where I've just drawn a crap hand and I've just been like, this is the worst. What are the chances that I got that crap hand? So that has always been a little frustrating thing, but nothing to, scar this game. It's just, the game's great.
World's longest final thoughts.
9 out of 10. There you go.
And then on to discuss the value of the game.
Sure, yeah.
So the price point currently for this in Canada online is $64.
Okay, yeah.
I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Obviously, I'm gonna pay $64 for this game. I'm thinking I'm getting my money's worth many, many times over for Great Western Trail.
Yeah, the amount of play, the amount of strategy, everything going into this game, I think that is a reasonable price point to pay for the quality and the gameplay.
All right. Well, that is Great Western Trail. I hope we made it sound exciting because we both really love it.
This is awesome.
And if you haven't already checked it out, check it out for sure. All right, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We always appreciate when you do that.
Yep. You can also follow us on Twitter at MeepleLeaf. And down in the description down below, you can go to Board Game Links, help other people find us by giving us some hearts there.